Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. Welcome back to Young Martin's Reels. It has been brought to my attention that when I did the video on the Penn Levelmatic 940, I didn't do a very good job of showing exactly what was going on in the jack plate area. Those were one of my earlier videos, and I'm going to go back now and shoot an additional video to go along with that one to try to explain that a little bit. So we're going to do that. All right. All right. So far, I've got this taken down just about as far as it can possibly go. There is one screw left I could take out over here that would, I think, take this anti-reverse assembly off over here, but it's not necessary. I think you can see that it's okay where it's at unless you had to. Okay, it seems that Dakota is really going to make me work for my money today since I'm not getting any. All right. Okay, so we're back into this. I've gone back in one more time, and I've taken apart the anti-reverse assembly. All right, so that we can get a good look at what's going on in here. Let me get this jack plate back in place before we go too far here. There we go. Jack plate's where it belongs. All right, now, apparently Dakota has taken his anti-reverse assembly apart, which I didn't realize there were so many parts of this until I went to look, and I found out in his picture this assembly right here. Let me wipe this off, make it clean. All right, his anti-reverse assembly right here is broken. Okay, his is missing from about here out. He's going to have to order this part. I do know that they sell this part at Mystic Parts, and I think it's like $1.15. Unfortunately, it's like $10 for shipping or something like that. It's ridiculous. But he's going to end up needing this new shift dog. Not shift dog. I keep calling this thing a shift dog, and it is not. It is an anti-reverse dog. The shift dog thing comes from our transmission days. All right. So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to put in your lower plate here. This is all each one of these parts are available individually on mysticparts.com. All right, that goes in. Now, I don't know if you can see it over here. This guy right here. Can you see that little spring? That is a little teeny tiny spring. I have shot it in this pan 3 times just trying to pick it up. So I've got to be very, very careful with it. All right, but anyway, here is our anti-reverse dog at DAWG dog, not DOG. All right, that goes there. Set it in place. Now, while you're holding that there, you have to take this little teeny tiny spring and slip it in. Okay, it's going to go in on this one end over here. Now, put a finger on top of it kind of to help hold it in place so that it can't shoot out. All right, now you're going to want to take and slip the other end of it down inside this block. And that didn't work, so let's try it again. Okay, hold it in place with one hand. Can you see it? Barely. We're going to slip that spring up inside there, And I do hope I don't lose this spring because it's the only one I got like this. And I don't have enough light in here to see adequately. Kind of wiggle it around if you need to. And it just tried to shoot out of there. Okay, it looks like it ought to stay, but it's not. Still not staying in. This is a very difficult little spring to get in place. I think I got it that time. There we go. All right, once it's in place, as long as you don't move this anti-reverse, it's not going to shoot out. It'll sit right there as long as you've got it in there. Now, the next thing you want to do is this is your upper cover, and it fits over the top, and that's going to lock in that post right there. It's going to hook around this post here, and now from the bottom side, you're going to put your finger on top of it like this, and put your finger up here and turn this over like so, and slip it in here and screw it back in. All right, now that all goes back together as it did before. And I think now, Dakota, you'll see that we've got what we need. It's going to rotate around, and it catches. It does everything it's supposed to do. Okay? That spring is in there kicking it back, keeping it kicked over every time. Each time it comes up, it drops into place. That's what that little spring is for. We're going to add a little bit of oil up underneath there to make sure that that stays moving well. Puts a little bit in here where the spring is. We do not want any friction in there. There we go. Anti-reverse should be up and running. Now, Dakota, you're going to need to order this dog right here. You're going to have to get one of those because yours is broken. It might still work. It's got a friction device that rides on the back of the main gear here. That's what that piece is. It's got broken off. But really, if you've got that spring in there, it probably would still work anyway, even without the friction on this. So that's up to you. If it was me, I'd go ahead and order a new one. But that friction on that rides on the bottom of this gear, and it helps when it backs up. It helps provide a little bit more oomph and keeps you from having problems. The interesting part of this reel is the yoke assembly here isn't like yoke assemblies on most other reels. On most other reels, once you take everything apart, this will come out. All right, it will pop up and you can take this out. Well, on this reel, you can't do that. All right, and I'm having a little trouble even getting under it. Okay. Once you get up under it, this should lift up. I think it's got a shouldered edge, and I think it's catching up under there. But normally, this would never come down this far to begin with. Push up on it, wiggle it around a little bit, and it should come up enough to be able to get a screwdriver under it. Okay. Once you can get your screwdrivers under it, you're going to be lifting it up. This is a lot harder than most other reels. Let's push it up. There we go. I got that side to go up. And let's see if I can maneuver the other side to go up and around. Don't force it. Just these are all gentle lifts that I'm doing. There is a shoulder over there, apparently, that is catching on. There we go. Now, that's got both sides up and out of the way. Once we get it up there, yeah. If you look right there, see if you can see it. There's a shoulder right here. And that's what that yoke is catching on. Well, once you've got your yoke up that far, you can come back and reinsert your pinion gear. Here we go. Your your pinion gear goes in with these teeth down, like so. Slip it in, and it's not an easy thing. It's a wiggle thing. Wiggle it around. There you go. Once you get it in, it's not going to fall out. If you get your pinion gear in correctly, it's not going to fall out. Okay, now you've got it to that point, and that's going to kind of keep that from catching on those shoulders. But once you've done that, then it's ready for this jack plate to go back in. And I see I got it. There we go. This jack plate slides in on this side here, and then it's going to slide in on the other side as well. But you got to get it to wiggle around again because it's catching on that shoulder. There we go. Get your jack plate to slide in. Once it's done, it's going to fit like that. Okay. And I'm going to oil all this. I'm not going to grease it, I don't think. I think I'm going to oil all this when we put it back this time. So that's all in position. Now you take your anti-reverse and bring it over this way. With that in place, you can now reinstall. Now this one, a lot of these drag sleeves have a washer that goes here. This one doesn't, but this slides down over the shaft, slides in, and right there. You got to get that anti-reverse right there to slip onto it. Now, this has got to be properly oiled. And I would put no less than 5 drops of oil down in there. Okay. There we go. All right, now that, if you look at the cog here, let's go ahead and pull this back off a second. If you look at the bottom of this, see these 2 cogs right here, one on each side of the post? They are what's going to catch on this post right here, this lever. And that's going to push this back, forcing your jack plate back. All right. Let's slide that down, get it to go down. Make sure, get your anti-reverse to slide over. Make sure it goes all the way down. There you go. You're going to have a small gap in between those posts and the bottom, and that's fine. That's the way it's supposed to be. All right. Once you've done that, now you've got to put your pin back in. And I didn't show you taking the pin out, but you just punch it out with a punch of the appropriate size. And once you get it out, let's see, it's normally got a large side and a small side. I think I'm trying to put the small side in first. Let's try going in from the other direction. One hole is usually larger than the other. Wiggle it in, and then press it in the rest of the way. And make sure that none of it is sticking up. If it is, it's going to catch when you slide your gear back in. Okay. All right, now your jack. Now, when I rotated that, my jack plate tried to slip out. Now, you're not going to be able to move this jack plate around much with it uninstalled. All right, with everything out. You're going to want to turn it, but you can't because it's going to cause all this to jack up like it just did. Okay, we are going to pull this back out. And this was what my question was on, is which direction does the jack plate? The jack plate goes in just like this. See these right here? Can you see it? All right, those posts right there are going to push the yoke up. Normally, a yoke will just slide right off, but on this one, they have fixed the yoke in place so that it can't come out. It's got rivets. If you flip it over and look, the yoke posts are riveted in. All right, so leave that in place. You set your jack plate up just like this. There you go. Make sure that's over there. That gives you all your proper configuration. Do not rotate it at this point. We're going to do our rotation after we get everything together. And I showed you in the other video how to set up this drag stack, so we don't have to worry about that right now. Make sure that you've got your ears lined up on your eared washer in your gear, like so. Put your tension washer on. Put your sleeve on. All right, all those are correctly aligned. Everything on this side is correctly aligned. Let's go ahead now and oil this. And I'm hoping that from this you can see how all this is supposed to fit. I think I've done a reasonably decent job of getting it to where you can see everything. I won't know until I go back to watch the video. Now, the one thing I do have to grease is the gear itself. Make sure to grease your pinion gear. And make sure that you grease your main gear. And you don't have to grease all the way around, just most of it. The rest of it's going to spread itself as you rotate, as you turn it, once you've got it all together. Now that you've got it to that point, we're ready to slide this back in. And once you've got that done, then everything, all will work as planned without everything popping out. All right, now, watch here. You've got a post here. This is a non-moving post, this one here, and then you've got your moving post here. That's the one that moves in and out. Okay, move it out all the way, like so. Let's see. Okay, now the one that moves, believe it or not, is going to be the one that goes into the small hole. The one that is stationary is going to go into the large hole, and that's going to slide up and down. That's what's going to position this so that everything fits properly and rotates in the right direction. So line those posts up right there, okay? Let's see if we can see adequately. All right. The white post, the stationary post is right here, and then the moving post is right here. Stationary, moving. Hold it in your hand, flip it over, and let's go ahead and put our screws back in. You can now put your star drag adjuster back on, tighten it down a little bit. Okay. Slip your tensioner washer back on. Slip your handle back on. Okay, don't forget that you got these brakes in here. Make sure that none of your string is binding any of these edges. Your line. And there you have, I can get this line out of my way. The Levelmatic 940. It's got a good drag. You can tighten it down. Okay. And hopefully that got far enough into it for you to see exactly what was happening with the jack plate this time. All right, and I'll post this out there and start moving on to the next reel.